Good morning, Colin and Tara. Thank you so much for joining us today. Colin, could you just give us a bit of background to the size of the resort, how many visitors you get on average a year, what your annual turnover is?
Good morning, Naomi and Andrew. The resort started life in 1991, but it's really been the last sort of 15 years and an investment of in around 60 million now that has really generated. That was the first phase of the spa. We're now at a stage where on a full house would be 350 guests. We have 5 on-site restaurants, 1 on the golf course and the rest within the main hotel, and 1 of them in the spa. So mixture of bedrooms, cottages, and log cabins. We have added a few residencies the last number of years. And we sort of see that market, obviously, with COVID being a big driving force. So all the new development in the accommodation side of the business is going to be exterior, door to the outside. So a mixture of things like shepherd's huts, we're looking at tree houses, additional cottages. And that's where we would see the investment really going. Investment has been the key driving force of the business, and we generally believe in lockdown we did further investments, and we invested our way out of the last recession in 2008, 2009, and we feel this is the right decision to do it again.
So when you actually started out all those years ago, was it a hotel with a spa, or was the vision always to be a spa that drove occupancy in the hotel? How did it start out originally?
The original development was very much a wedding venue with 23 bedrooms. It was really the vision in around 2004, 2005 to add 50 more rooms and the spa. And spa very much was to drive bedroom occupancy and ideally a better rate in rooms. In time, then it really, as we continued to add to the spa, and we continued to, in 2015, we created what was the Thermal Village, which really took the spa, the majority of it outside. And at that stage, then we had the capacity to really drive day spa. Day spa post or pre-COVID was up to 40,000 day spa a year. And you know, post-COVID, what we're really looking at is trying to manage day spa and hotel residents, and we really see that's the market going forward. Trying to manage the occupancies in the spa and making it work for us, and obviously. Rate, we aggressively went after rate because we believe people will be willing to pay that bit more. And the safety message was what we'd really gone out with, was we will make this site one of the safest that we can.
Okay, so you've had a very clear vision in those years. As you said, you've survived recession, and in fact, in times of recession, invested more. So has that clear management vision and ongoing strategy, has that actually helped you through COVID and lockdown?
I suppose when we went into lockdown, the first thing we started thinking was, how do we get open again? We sit in Northern Ireland, so we had the added complications of a devolved government. So necessarily what was coming out of London wasn't what we were getting on the ground here. There was added benefits that we had direct lines into the Northern Ireland government. So we started writing, we had our opening document with the Northern Ireland government by second week of May. And by the end of May, we had gone out with a date pre the Northern Ireland government having given a date for hotels to open. We wrote the document right through the whole guest journey. Every part of it had changed. Check-in, how the booking was going to, how the spa was going to operate. And we very much focused on we were going to be resident only, or very close to resident only, with a small number of day spa and a small number of afternoon teas is how we initially started out. We then lobbied government, lobbied them hard. We got a date for hotels, and then the date moved earlier. We maintained our date purely because when we'd initially gone out, we said it would be 8 weeks to train all the staff. We have over 750 staff. It's going to be that period of time to get everybody trained, retrained, and put all the new operating procedures in for COVID. So we stuck to the date we had, and I think that suppose from the general public's point of view, they seen that we were taking this as seriously as we could. It wasn't, oh, right, well, the government's moved the date 4 weeks early. Let's move the date 4 weeks early. We said from the beginning, this is what it's going to take us to open this hotel. So that we do feel that helped. Then we very much said we were opening the whole site from the very beginning. We said we will not open part sites. Nobody comes to stay in a hotel to sit in the room, so it's not room service. It's, restaurants will be open, the spa will be opened. It's about booking the Galgorm experience. And we stuck to a mixture of working with government and coercing them. And the day we were due to open, which was the 24th, which was a Friday, the Northern Ireland government announced SPAs to open on the Thursday. So timing was very good for us. And we were able then to open the full site on the Friday. We initially sat in August with 80% occupancy, and we said we wouldn't go above that, just to see how that operated. And really from September onwards, we've said we'll take the occupancy up to whatever the level ends up sitting at. But pre-COVID, we were sitting at sort of 92, 93% occupancy in the rooms. Post-COVID, we've sort of seen really sticking with residents and day spa and managing those two things out. And we've actually kept parts of the site, so a number of the restaurants have stayed resident only, because what we believe is make the journey, make a really, really wonderful, great experience, and people will be willing to pay that bit more, because it is more expensive to do business at this minute in time. I don't see that going away, and there's only some of it has to be passed on to the customer, and I suppose not everybody was willing to make that move, but we did, and so far it's working out okay for us.
Given that you are limited now with literally the capacity that you can take at any one time, what higher value treatments, service offerings have you focused on to make up the difference in revenue, if you have at all, if that's possible?
Room rate was room rate's one that always hotels will go to if they can. And what we had done was put all the room rates up. We included we have bathing experiences with a mixture of Riverside tubs and Serenity tubs. We included them in our most expensive room type, which was the deluxe rooms. So if you book a deluxe room, you get one of those tubs included. Now, it was a twofold plan. One was the tub's worth £50, so it's £50 more room you're getting, and it's guaranteeing you 2 people in one of the tubs for an hour. So it took them out of circulation in the overall spa. And then what we've tried to do is build that sort of into a number of things. So the day spa, we focused on, rather than having these loads of choice of treatments, we've brought it right back, 60, 90 minutes, 3 or 4 choices in each. And really, it was to try and to say, look, take away a lot of the choice. And what we can actually do here is just focus on what do people want, and really focus on we did imagine there would be pent up demand. A lot of people have been in the house. Holidays were starting to be cancelled, so we did feel that there was going to be a lot of, looking at the money side of things, we did feel there's going to be a lot of money potentially in circulation, and it was really focusing on how do we add value into each of our, whether it be an overnight stay or day spa, and how do we really then drive doing less numbers but making the experience fantastic and really worth, they still left feeling value for money. Yes, the price is up, but completely worth it.
Obviously, during lockdown, you've actually invested in the spa and you have new treatments, new services. Could you just take us through what additions have actually been made to Galgorm Spa?
So we've added in the Alpine Garden, we have a fatality pool there, some barrel saunas, couples cabanas. We also added a new Riverside steam room, a salt cave, and a plunge pool. And then on our Serenity side, we finished off the Palm House, which has a gin bar in there, so guests can go up there as well. 2 outdoor hot tubs and heated loungers as well, just to finish that side of the garden off. We also maximise the use of our waterfall, and we have built an area down there, the waterfall garden, with 3 new Riverside tubs. This will be an experience for our guests staying in the suite, so it will be a VIP experience. They'll have their own seated area. They will have waiter service there as well, so they can enjoy nice cocktails out there along the waterfall area. So again, a perfect opportunity to do it. We had no guests to disturb, which was a big plus for us. And then as well in the treatment quarter, we looked at how could we bring some type of facial into the treatment, because again, it was all, yes, you can do massage, but no facials. So we invested in Dermalux LED Flex. So we do a no-touch facial. So really looking at our 90-minute signature treatments and adding that in, so the guest feels that they're actually getting an overall treatment as opposed just to a back massage. So we've great feedback from that. The therapists love to do it. It's also something new for them to learn, you know. So during lockdown, they would have done their online training on that, and it was something then that they could add in when they come back. Yeah. We've also as well just started doing our facials in the skin clinic. We've added on Image skincare from the 1st of September. Because we have Garini beds, we purchased one of their plexi shields, so the guest and the staff member feels fully safe. There's that barrier there, but more so than ever, guests want to have facials. They're wearing masks, they're having issues with their skin, so they're really enjoying now being able to have a facial and feel safe. We will eventually obviously offer that down the quarter, but we just think slow and steady. Let the guests feel safe, let the therapist feel safe as well. So that's what we did through lockdown.
Okay, so some of those elements, were they planned anyway? And it's just a bit of a happy coincidence that so much focus was on outside treatments?
There was a few things happening with the Salt Cave, but the new Alpine Garden, certainly I wasn't aware that was going to happen. But again, Colin's laughing. We're very fast paced. We're ever changing, which is why the place does so well. So, when the builders arrived and they started with the Alpine Garden, we weren't aware that was going to happen. So there was no planning and that such. So we did have, obviously, the Palm House had already was being built, and it was just those additions to that. But as I say, yes, they're very much let's get it done and let's get new experiences out there.
So just moving on to the safety aspect of opening post-lockdown, you mentioned that you'd actually looked to other industries for high-tech sanitation equipment and how you've brought that into use in a spa. Could you give us a few examples of what that includes?
What we really felt was at the very start of this was safety was going to be the message. We looked at every part of the journey through product that was a 24-hour hand sanitizer, 30-day surface sanitizer, and says, right, well, let's take the 30-day surface sanitizer. Transport for London was using it. Let's use it every 7 days. We looked into decontamination equipment. So in the bedrooms between the guest leaving and the next guest coming in, we put in a decontamination unit that is a mixture of UV and ozone. And it pretty much takes the microbe count in the room right down to very close to zero. We've all staff and PPE, and we talked around this a number of times around, will it take away from the guest experience? But it really was driven by the staff wanting it. And then now we have pretty much most of our guests coming with PPE, wearing a mask. So the general public and public opinions drove a lot of this, and they've already. We've right through now into, we have a mist pal tunnel where you walk through, and it's a 1.5 second blast with a plant-based sanitizer, and you can take your suitcases and things like that through this. We're temperature checking on the door for staff and customers, and really it was to try and, without taking away the luxury hotel experience, but how do we make sure that this is as safe as we can make it? And I suppose, being a private company and, and from the very beginning, what we'd sort of said is we need to be at least as safe as a hospital, if not safer, because if you go to a hospital, you have no choice. You have to go. You have a choice whether to come and spend money at this hotel. So that was really what we said. Let's make it as safe as a hospital. Let's look at the medical grade equipment and what they're using. Like some of the kit that we bought is used to clean operating theatres. They're using it to clean the back of an ambulance between uses. So it was really look at the medical world, bring it in and try not to lose the whole hotel experience.
Tara, if I could ask you, How did you actually communicate that message to consumers?
So when we decided to do the video as well for our guests to be able to see exactly what we were doing, the marketing campaign Your Safe Haven was sent out, and it was just to really let our guests who were coming to see what we were putting in place for them, how serious we were taking their safety here, and obviously our staff members as well. But we wanted to get that message out there that you can come here and stay, and it is your safe haven.
And were these communications to your existing customer database, or was this a general mass consumer campaign that just went to everybody in Ireland or even further afield?
The video initially went out to our own database, but I think Tourism Ireland then took the video and they started using it. Like locally on the ground, our market before COVID would have been about 12% from the Republic of Ireland, and currently up to last week for September, it's sitting at over 30%, just over 30%. So a substantial jump from the Republic of Ireland business, and really, like, that was us focusing on, one, a new market, two, obviously there's a lot of people not going away, they're willing to travel that wee bit further. And when we decided sort of the whole marketing plan when we opened was Northern Ireland first, because we believed they'd be the first to be coming, Republic of Ireland next, and then really GB, which is obviously for us would have been a huge market, but we still think there's a lot of apprehension around people wanting to get on a flight, and I think that market, it'll be, well, in our plan from the very beginning, we thought it was going to be post Christmas. I still maintain that I think that's where slowly and surely the GB market will come back, but at the minute it's really Island of Ireland, North and South, which was our home market, and really then growing substantially the Republic of Ireland market, which, because they're traveling that bit further, they tend to be booking a 2 or 3 night stay, so the spend is a better spend. But it's always, our home market has always been very, very important to us. The first protocol is the team, the staff. How do you get them back to work? How do we make it's okay to come back to work? So that was the first sales pitch, to be fair. And then along the way it was, right, well, let's get our customers who know us will come back because they know we take anything we do well. And then it was, right, well, how do we sow the seed of, and what drove the video was we initially did it as a statement, which was our hygiene commitment. And it was viewed on average, I think it was 3.5 to 4 minutes, which really said to us, everybody's reading this. It's not clicking onto your web. A lot of web pages are 10, 20 seconds. Everyone was going onto this web page and reading it.
Even before COVID, an industry-wide issue was staff recruitment and, more importantly, retention. What would you say staff morale is like now?
Some people bought into wearing PPE. Some people, every day you're walking by them, you were going, please put on your PPE. You're at a stage now where everybody wears it and it's just a given and it's became normal. Because they were saying that it takes 12 weeks to form a habit or whatever it is, and so some of these things we're trying to get it into, like the temperature checking. Everyone bought into the temperature checking straight away. As regards recruitment, like we were back out recruiting since we opened. We had staff shortages, like a lot of people in the industry before COVID. We opened with, yes, parts of the business not fully back at capacity, but so we were back out recruiting. We had 40 jobs initially, and, like, to be fair, we're still recruiting as we go. Some jobs have changed. Some people are not back in doing the job they were doing. Some parts of the business, like, for instance, meetings and events isn't here at this minute in time, and we don't see it coming in the short term, but the guys that were working in meetings and events have moved into reservations because room bookings and spa bookings are so busy, and there's so much more detail now because we're taking, as Tara had mentioned, we're asking that everything's pre-booked, and there's a lot more work involved in all of that. There's areas, there's departments that are bigger than what they were. There is jobs directly linked to COVID. I think we're spending, I think it's about 3,500 a week of wages that are purely linked to COVID, brand new wages that just feels our thing is, like, I still maintain that sort of the next 6 months is crucial, and that the industry needs to, it's not actually continue to trade and grow your business, it's actually stay open for the next 6 months. what we're really doing is trying to embrace, if we look after our team, keep them, make sure that we don't lose anyone, and then add to them as we can. And training is the only way to do it at this minute in time.
What would your main piece of advice be for any other establishment in your situation who would say, I can't afford to do that, I can't afford to keep staff, I can't afford to do more marketing? What would you say to them? Stick
to the plan. Once you have a plan, and I don't underestimate how hard it is. I deal with weekly breakdowns by owners daily, to be fair, sometimes. But guys, stick to the plan with a very good plan, and continue to see that, pull yourself out of it. The way I've sort of described our own financials is August is by no means where our first month of operating is by no means where we want to be, but it's a steady as in a ship. We're open. We're making money, which is the first month of operating. Probably not too many businesses or hotels are saying that we were back in profit. We can see we've now wrote the document to take us out to the end of the next sort of 14 months. We can see where we need to go. I would always, and I've always been, staff is your key thing. You can build the best hotel in the world and spend all the money in the world building it, but if you don't have the right team in it, and the service isn't good, and the food's quality is not strong, experience isn't good, it won't work. And it doesn't matter how much money you spend on your building. So your team is as important, if not more, the most important thing you have. Key asset is the team. Invest in them and they'll invest in you. You are going to have to take a wee bit of pain and wages here. And, but if you plan it right, you should see it, hopefully. We are starting to see the journey out of it with, the price increases starting to really kick in. And don't be scared to put prices up. And I think too, this isn't a short term. If we wrote the document, COVID would be with us for a couple of years. And I would go back just to, two things that were always said to me by the two owners of the hotel was, invest your way out of recessions. What everybody does is stop spending money in a recession, keep improving your product, and don't add money into your marketing budget. Because the first thing when a recession hits, everybody goes to the marketing budget and chops it and take big chunks out of it. Put more money into your marketing budget. And, definitely 2008, 2009, we did that. And this time around, the marketing was pretty much at a free rein. And, as long as you're looking at your spends and making sure that the returns coming in, but those are the two things I would say. Continue to invest in your product and do not touch your marketing budget. If anything, give them a bit more free rein. You have to then try and build in the value for money. If you're going to put your prices up, it can't just be a complete put your prices up, we need more money. How do you make it that it's value for money then, that they still leave going, all right, that was £50, £100 more expensive for a night stay, but I got X, Y, and Z that I normally don't get. Our feedback, the one thing I would say, our feedback has gone up. Positive feedback has went really, really, really strong. And yes, there's a few people not enjoying the new ads. They don't like I have to pre-book everything, and it's not for everybody. And it's not, to be fair, how I would enjoy a stay. But at this current minute in time, we all have to buy into things are a wee bit different. But for the vast majority, the experience is far better because what we've been able to do is bring the numbers back. But it only works if you put your prices up, and it's easy. I know it's an easy thing to say, but you come up with it. You can't just put your prices up without a strategy, right? The strategy, come up with a plan, and then stick to it. And don't, you're going to have knocks along the way. You're going to potentially lose one or two customers that have been with you for a long time because it's too expensive. But if you don't evolve, it's the old evolve or die,
Yeah. Day to day on the floor running of the spa, what would you say has been your biggest challenge practically?
The likes of during lockdown for myself, I would have held some meetings with all the different individual teams, and it wasn't, it was nothing about work. It was like, how he's getting on? Is anybody doing anything? Has anybody learnt any new skills? Just to try and keep people going throughout that time, because obviously we didn't realise we'd be in lockdown just so long. So, and then obviously the training beforehand, we would have had contact with them there, and obviously letting them understand the journey, especially with the management team as well, because we had to get them on board. It took a long time to get the place opened. It was a lot quicker to close it down, but to get it up and going and to be right, and to be right for the staff, and for the staff to totally understand what they were expected to do when they come back. Because obviously, as I say, some were a bit nervous, some were just, let's get on with it. And we do have a sway that goes out to our staff every Friday evening, and that goes to their personal email, and that's just, this is what's happening, this is what's happened during the week, and it's you know, a mixture of you know, somebody's had a baby, or this is news about the resort, so it's just to keep them involved with that. We now have a new platform called Backstage, and that's an app that we use, so our staff can go on and engage in that. It's very good. It's like, there's like a social page on it, keeps them up to date with things that are going on, and they can use it for requesting holidays and, you know, to keep in touch. So there's lots of different areas that we can use to keep in contact, so we're very lucky that way.
Digital transformation. I understand you've actually also invested quite a bit in new digital platforms, both for the benefit of your guests as well as staff. Could either one of you, whoever wants to talk about this, talk a bit more about how you are using digitalization to transform your guest experience, your staff experience?
There's a couple of things that may like there was bigger projects like the Backstage, which Tara was talking about, which was a full behind the scenes management of staff, right from recruitment and right through the whole appraisal processes, time and attendance, how we manage everything to do with the staff. It's all app driven, so it suited the majority of our team who are, you know, they're driven by their mobile, and they can change their shifts through the app. Managers have full control over what shifts they change. So we were already moving towards that, and lockdown just allowed us to sort of thereabouts complete that project. What we did then, from the customer point of view, it was like, well, let's take away. Some of these apps have been around that take away menus, and they'd never really gained much traction. But we said, right, this is the time to do it. So there's an app now that pretty much has all menus, the Spa Village map, the guest directory is now all in the app. So pretty much you get this app, and this allows you to navigate Galgorm through your phone. Couple of things that are still to come, like the keyless entry to the bedrooms, check in, check out through the app. They've still, as all these things do, systems. And when you're trying to amalgamate a number of systems, you need to dot I's, cross T's, and nobody talks to each other. And, but once we get these things done, that'll be a full check in, check out through the app, full keyless entry to your room.
Wow.
So now, this isn't for everybody, but it was, our view was, see, for the maybe 20-30% of people that want to do it, let them do it. And what it will do is, you know, there's a thought process here. It will take a bit of pressure off the front desk because they'll be able to check in. A lot of people don't like check. Well, I know I don't like checking out of a hotel. When I walk down and see a queue, it's the last thing I want to see. I want to be able to know my bill's paid and, you know, go. So I think that will be utilised a lot. The thing that we've done too, like we're trying to do no cash in the building, which drives a number of items. But then what it does do is it means everybody's got a bill because everybody's posting to their room. So for fixing one problem, which was taking away cash, you gained another problem because now everybody has a bill, so everybody has to go to the desk to check out. Right. So we're trying to work through that, but you know the drive is still very much. I know Tara a lot. No paper. Get rid of paper in the building, and really then, like all our digital and systems has been driven by a mixture of improved staff and the team's management and how they do their job, whether it be earn more revenue, make their job that wee bit easier, take away any barriers they have to be able to do their job, and then from a guest experience point of view is make the experience as seamless as possible. But I'm not a believer in digital for digital's sake, and you know some of these hotels that you stay in throughout the world, and you try and find the light switch, and there's no light switch, and you have to find a tablet that's in the middle of the night, and you just want to turn the light on, you know, to get over the room, you know. And so the technology is there to make our lives better, make them easier. And you know, I don't believe in all this, you know, just go completely technology driven. So we've tried to strike the balance, and we think we get it quite well. You know, our age, you know, our demographic sort of 2/3 of our market is 20 and 30-year-olds, so they buy into technology. But at the same time, we're still going to have, older demographics that don't want to use it, and that's, in the restaurants with disposable menus and paper. If somebody still wants a paper menu, we still have them. So it's not that you have to download this or you have to do this and this is the only way we operate. You have to make adjustments for everybody, but this is our preferred option. And I think it caters. It's also know your market. If your market's not, 2/3 of our market or slightly above now is 20 and 30-year-olds, they completely buy into technology. If that's not your market and your market's, in an older demographic, you have to cater to your market. I don't believe in just charging forward and doing technology for technology's sake. But a lot of it was very good. Like a whole phone system, we all have it on our mobiles as an app. So we were able to move our reservations department that they could all work from home without any new additional costs because we already had this system. So I would say that anyone that was ahead of the curve and had a lot of the systems in is probably, lockdown hasn't, we were able to run this hotel off site. So, but it's probably drove people to rethink things and look at how you manage, on site. But definitely I would be technology, but it has to work. Every business has its own needs. So look at your needs. And a lot of it now is not that expensive. A lot of it's driven by licenses. So there's none of these big upfront costs anymore. But they'll help your revenue, they'll help your team do more. Even if it is, and some of this wasn't about, even if it is that the receptionist has more time to spend looking at the guest rather than down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a worthwhile investment.
Well, thank you so much for your time. That has been an absolutely fascinating insight into how to run a market-leading, indeed one of Ireland's leading spa and golf hotel resorts. We're now going to go to the audience and have a bit of a Q&A session direct from the audience. So I will hand back over to Andrew.